The jackal thought that the thin-legged bird would be easy prey. This was a big mistake because this bird is none other than the secretary bird, and it is a bird that fights back in hand-to-hand combat with the most venomous of snakes. This bird is capable of treating a poor jackal so cruelly that the animal would flee to another continent just to avoid an encounter with such an opponent again. Today, we are going to show you other instances in which birds have taught good manners to animals that have tried to disrupt their peace. It seems that these birds have had enough of the tyranny of snakes. Each of these feathered birds in a one-on-one fight can do nothing against a huge poisonous reptile. But here they formed a kind of winged gang and together attacked the snake, which was just looking for something to eat. The birds' tactics were similar to the tactics used by bandits. They surrounded the strongest enemy and one by one began to attack it. They pecked and kicked with their paws as hard as they could, and these birds are not usually formidable predators. They don't have weapons like claws and a powerful beak, but they do have the determination to deal with the snake that terrorized them. And guess what? They can do it. The reptile is shocked as it did not expect such a riot and doesn't know what to do. When the snake attacks any of the birds, it gets hit in the back of the head by one of the other birds. This is repeated over and over again. The tactics and coherent teamwork of the birds is impeccable. They have each other's backs and fight with a desperation that makes you wonder if there was a feud a long time ago going on between the snake and these birds. Perhaps this is a revenge, or perhaps we are just witnessing a new evolutionary leap, where not very strong birds have learned to cooperate with one another to protect themselves from more formidable and dangerous opponents. What do you think? Let us know in the comments below. It is hard to say why the antelope pushes the newborn cub into the water. Is it trying to teach it to swim? Is it trying to wash it? Is it trying to get rid of its extra mouth? Either way, it is clear that this behavior does not please this bird. The coastal area is its territory. This marabou is well known to storks. It feeds on frogs, insects, reptiles, and carrion. Antelopes do not seem to know about them. To them, they are just a giant bird who is just a quiet neighbor that quietly rakes up frogs, insects, and other little prey, all while quietly scurrying frogs somewhere near the water's edge. Well, the gazelles clearly underestimated the bird's bloodlust, and in vain they let the baby stay too close to it. The carnivorous stork sees it kind of like trash as it walks along the shore or as a source of food. The baby gazelle is alive, but this seems to be a temporary predicament for the stork. Notice how the bird grabs the calf's legs and nearly drowns it. Fortunately, this story ended well. The bird was too lazy to finish the calf, and the baby managed to escape without serious injury, but it will never go near this fearless bird again. The owl is a formidable bird of prey that competes with the eagles for title of the #1 hunter of all flying birds. And yes, the owl does have a number of advantages. In addition to sharp, curved claws and a powerful beak, owls have excellent night vision and hearing. They can fly almost completely silently and are able to grab prey much larger than themselves. But here the owl clearly underestimated its adversary. Corvids, while not considered to be the most formidable of birds, are known for their resourcefulness and courage. They gradually displace and even dominate owls. The owl just wanted to rest, but the crows told her she shouldn't be here. This is now their territory, and although the black aggressors are not going to bring the conflict to a deadly, fatal end, they are determined and want to drive the owl out. They don't like these neighbors, and they succeed. The owl didn't know who she was dealing with. A strong beak that could crush small bones can cause very serious damage to an owl, and crows also have a tenacious grip and can invent cunning ideas on the fly while in the process of overpowering a serious enemy, all while maintaining minimal risk. Also, while owls are generally loners, crows tend to band together in large gangs. Thus, they are able to subdue a bird of prey with little to no risk involved. And if the attack happens to occur during the daytime, while the owl is hindered and tired from hunting, the owl also has to deal with hindered vision because of the bright light, and this severely increases the chances for the crows even more. They are not to be underestimated. Eventually, they probably will drive owls out of their habitat almost permanently. Whose side are you on in this confrontation? We want to hear from you in the comments below. A pack of whooping cranes made a nest in Yellowstone Park right in the middle of the lake. The birds felt safe there. They look cute, don't they? The parents and their chicks decided to get away from the nest and walk along the shore when suddenly a bear appeared. Apparently, the huge, heavy predator decided that these slender bird legs were an easy snack for him, and nothing would prevent him from eating the chicks, even if the adults could take off and escape. But these cranes were not going to abandon their offspring. Can you guess what was in store for these cranes? A good whooping of the bear. The bear was trying to prove that it was the toughest around, but to protect its chicks, cranes are capable of really impressive feats. The bird completely ignored the threat of the bear's claws, and the predator's beak struck right into the bear's forehead. The beast was stunned, and it had not expected such bravery. The crane's long beak is not suitable for hunting, but birds can use it like a sword. A couple of precise blows and a bear could easily lose an eye. The slanted-eyed bandit doesn't want to test their fate, so the bear runs away. And he is literally 25 times the weight of his opponents and easily stronger than these beautiful birds. But parental love does work wonders. The bear runs away from the furious crane and huddles against the tree to calm down for a bit. The huge predator basically had a panic attack. This is probably the funniest gang you will ever see. These turkeys have formed a veritable group of gangsters and decided to take over a territory. Look at how bravely they are holding out. It looks like they're about to enter the local cafe with an offer for the owner that they simply can't refuse. Does he need protection? I think he does. The cat clearly didn't realize who he was dealing with. He thought he could easily disperse a group of birds, but he was counterattacked so violently that he ended up fleeing. This cat used to chase the turkeys, but now it's the other way around. Ducks look so cute. They can be adorable, can't they? Look at this example of interspecies friendship. Is it not beautiful? It may seem like the birds are pets of a cat who treats them just like his toys and just on a whim doesn't use them. On a mere whim, he does not use his fangs. These ducks have no claws or sharp beaks, so they are actually defenseless. The cats thought so as well and regretted it when the duck showed them who was the boss. They picked the wrong bird who doesn't get the joke. The duck was very aggressive and assertive. It attacked with its beak, which can't really hurt or seriously injure a cat, but when a duck's beak pinches down, it really hurts. The cats defend themselves, but the bird attacks with such force that she forcefully pulls her opponent away and pins them against the wall. The bird seems oblivious to all of the cat's claw blows to the duck's head. The cat is shocked as they did not expect such an onslaught. The bird continues its attack as it wants to teach the cats a lesson they will remember for a long time. Do not mess with ducks. Eagles have bullet-like speed and an astonishing reaction speed as well. The average turkey is not capable of getting anywhere near the speed of a raptor, but this turkey was clearly underestimated. Somehow it detected the eagle's attack at the last second and not only dodges the attack, but the turkey was able to fly up sharply and let the bird of prey pass underneath it. The claws of the enemy flashed and came only a couple of inches closer to the turkey's throat, but the turkey manages to escape as gracefully as if it were not a super dangerous attack, but rather just another Tuesday. At the same time, the turkey was not confused, but kept fleeing. We think he is running quite amusingly, but mind you, the turkey is moving in the opposite direction in which the inertia was carrying the eagle. The bird of prey no longer has a chance of catching up with this prey. It clearly made a miscalculation in its choice of prey this time, and the turkey deserves your respect, doesn't it? It's hard to find a more brazen bird than the seagull. These birds have turned their insolence into an actual weapon. Thanks to this, they can get their food anywhere. Seagulls have a reputation as seabirds, but they also fly quite close to the coast, and they have no problem finding food there. This group of pigeons think that there's just a beggar like them in front of them, only just a little bit bigger. They're not afraid of the seagull because it doesn't really look like a predator. It doesn't have long or sharp claws or a beak like a hawk, but they should have seen the threat in the eyes of this scraggly seagull. It's just that the seagull usually quietly walks along with the pigeons, but this one was not in search of food that people were throwing away. This gull is looking for a tasty pigeon and attacks it right when it finds one. The other pigeons are surprised as they did not expect this turn of events. If a seagull sticks its beak into a target, it is very unlikely to let go. Due to its superior size and strength, it easily kills a pigeon in a couple of seconds. And this is not a trick of one of these birds, but a normal behavior of the whole species. If a seagull is given the opportunity to confront any animal, it will definitely attack. Good thing we're much bigger than these salty bandits, isn't it? It's worth noting that the gull spreads out its prey as efficiently as possible. So, for example, if there's water nearby, the bird will drown the non-swimming enemy. If there is a lack of water nearby, it will peck, hover, and fall to the ground. A gull may attack a sparrow, which is nothing more than a snack for it, or it may venture onto larger prey. Terrestrial animals can't exactly feel safe either. Here, a seagull swallows an entire squirrel. It's obvious that the furry rodent didn't expect an attack from this bird, and in vain. However, even attempts to escape are not always successful. Here, a seagull pulls a rabbit from its hole. The bird kills a rather large animal and again swallows it whole. But for every good fighter, there is of course a stronger fighter somewhere. This pelican was angered by the gull's impudence. Although the bird's leathery beak is more suited to holding fish, the seagull fits in there too. It was clear that he didn't understand who he was messing with. The pelican took out the seagull in only a matter of seconds. Crows can teach a gull a lesson too. Watch as these 6 crows chase a seagull. The blackbirds have learned that teamwork and communication skills will help them severely when they yield to their rivals in chutzpah and size. The gull is simply confused, beaten on all sides, and forced to leave its native shore, which it used to think of as its own stomping grounds. Obviously, she didn't realize that the rules had changed recently and that these other winged bandits also now dwell there. She should no longer mess with the crows. Its furry wings look much more sinister than those of birds, but this flying fox belongs to the same family as big bats. And this creature clearly underestimated its feathered adversary. It is far from a formidable raptor, but it showed itself to be a real fighter. Having an advantage in speed, he attacked his opponent again and again. As a result, a bird broke one of the hind legs of a flying fox and dealt her a blow that she is not soon to forget. The flying fox clearly underestimated the bird, which is smaller and lighter, but much more bold and having real fighting instincts. Interestingly, this is not a fight between 2 predators for territory. Do you see the strange shape of the bird's huge beak? The beak is designed for crushing grains and nuts, but it also just so happens to serve as a good weapon. The flying fox is not a predator either. It actually is a plant-eating species. Perhaps the bird decided to push a competitor out of its territory in order to avoid future competition for food. Or perhaps the bird simply doesn't know that it is not a carnivorous monster that is in front of it. Domestic cats oftentimes exterminate city birds. Usually they hunt pigeons and sparrows, but they can also face a more dangerous enemy. In this case, however, the cat clearly overestimated its strength. He pounced on the owl, and that was a serious mistake. The owl has excellent defense tactics and can defend themselves from a predator even when it's on the ground. To do this, the owl spreads all of its feathers, and the cat is stunned. Suddenly, its opponent doubles in size in a matter of milliseconds. It may seem kind of funny to us, but imagine that a friendly-looking Labrador suddenly turns into a grizzly bear and then stands on its hind leg. It doesn't seem so funny anymore, does it? And the sharp claws and a sharp beak allow the owl to not only defend themselves from cats, but also successfully actually hunt them as well. They fly in the dark of the night and they pick out unsuspecting victims, attacking them and even drinking their blood. You think these are exotic bats? These bats, yes, they do exist. Only they don't attack these poor herbivores. The poor animals are attacked by Kea vampire bats. Incredible, isn't it? Animals don't expect such surprises from these friendly birds either. So they usually don't feel threatened and run away when they see Keas approaching them in the darkness. All this happens in New Zealand, where there are no large predators that pose a danger to the flock of sheep. The cattle feel safe there and are free to roam the expanse even at the night and idly. These sheep encounter not friendly parrots that can be taught to talk. These herbivores encounter real monsters. Of course, Kea parrots have no fangs. They simply sit on the backs of their victims and pierce them with their beaks. In reality, parrots are omnivores.
Omnivorous parrots feed on things like larvae and insects, but also nectar from flowers and fruit. However, these birds live in the highlands of New Zealand, where it is quite cold and nutrient poor. As a result, the birds suffer from vitamin deficiencies. Perhaps it was to replenish some important nutrients that they diversified their menu eventually with animal blood. Vampire parrots often suffer from the raids of sheep. The bloodthirsty behavior of kea parrots has long been a mystery. Only a few years ago did researchers discover that some individuals behave like vampires. This came as a real shock to most people. The kea parrot is considered one of the most intelligent birds in the world. Keas are very curious, very active, and also quite friendly with people. They are even oftentimes kept as pets. They are also masters of flight, and they seem to perform aerobatics for fun. But it turns out that they are capable of attacking sheep and other defenseless animals in order to drink their blood. The pecking wound that the parrot leaves is quite ugly and painful, but the parrot does not care about its victim's discomfort. The bird simply drinks the blood flowing from the injured tissues and then flies away. The parrot stays on the sheep's back even if it tries to escape. Sounds like a horror rodeo, doesn't it? And the bird can sit on its prey for quite a long time. Such an attack is not fatal. The wound, though ugly in appearance, does not usually damage vital organs and is not very deep. In spite of this, animal birds at dusk and acting like a vampire is impressive and frightening, isn't it? Of course, such a parrot would not attack people, as it is not of that weight category. And if a kea becomes a pet, it won't suffer from avitaminosis, so the need for blood would be unnecessary. But who knows, it might be worth looking at feathered pets a little bit differently.
The secretary bird looks quite original. The plumage runs down her legs like riding breeches. She has a neat head on a rather long but straight neck. It has a relatively short but sharp beak, and also a short and tufted out kind of tuft of several long feathers on its head. The bird owes its name to those feathers, which remind us of the riding feathers that secretaries used to wear behind their ears centuries ago. These birds fly well, albeit with a somewhat low elevation limit, and they also usually fly reluctantly. Most of the time, they roam quietly on the savannah in search of food. This jackal decided that a slender, funny-looking bird would make a good lunch, but he didn't realize who he was messing with. The secretary bird is one of the world's best hunting birds, and specifically one of the best venomous snake hunters. And while many other birds attack most of their prey from the sky, this hero prefers a more gentleman-like approach. The secretary bird confronts the enemy without trying to hide and goes straight in to attack. If a secretary bird can take down a huge cobra that is over 2 meters long, chances are he can deal with a jackal just fine. The brave beast has already regretted choosing such an opponent. Powerful and fast kicks from the secretary bird can break ribs and even the spine. The bird's claws are a bit blunt, but for once that's an advantage. Its huge paws strike like hammers, and its beak, although somewhat short, is very sharp. The secretary bird is a close relative and in some ways an ancestor of the eagle. All in all, the jackal is lucky to have survived this fight at all. Of course, he won't be attacking this kind of bird ever again. This golden retriever was swimming calmly and headed for the shore, and then he was spotted. No, not a tiger or a pack of hungry jackals, but someone much more bloodthirsty. Yup, a swan. Yeah, you got that right. Contrary to the reputation of these birds as friendly and good-natured and beautiful, swans are really big troublemakers. They form faithful and devoted monogamous couples, but they are also extremely territorial creatures that will literally kill any neighbor who happens to be in their favorite body of water. The golden retriever is a big dog, but he is in someone else's territory, in the water. The swan viciously attacks the dog, even though it has done absolutely nothing to him. The swan's powerful wing beats and attempts to crush the dog's body, and this poses a real threat. The swan can simply drown the dog, despite the fact that the dog is about 7 to 10 times heavier and also stronger. Besides, the dog was also not expecting any aggression, and it was not guilty of anything. But luckily, the shore was close enough that the dog managed to escape. It seems that from now on, he will be probably afraid of water. In fact, a swan's aggression has real benefits for the survival of this bird species. Their bravery allows them to defend their territory from predators, which usually would view birds like them as food.
This fox doesn't even dare to try attack the swan. Instead, he cautiously drinks and then runs away from a huge and brave bird. But this eagle is rather confident. He cannot swim, but he stays near shallow water in searches of food, but he doesn't know who this body of water belongs to. The swan does not want his chicks to be the object of unhealthy interest, so he will be the first to attack a huge bird of prey, which by its mere sight may frighten even larger creatures. But when the intrepid swan goes for a frontal attack and pounces on the eagle, the white bird tries to ram its enemy and drag it down into the depths, trying to drown it, or at least making the raptor wet enough to help disable its wings and make it difficult for the eagle to take off and fly. The eagle does not take the fight, instead retreating as quickly as possible, and the swan celebrates victory defending the territory. Which case of unexpected bird bravery made the biggest impression on you? Please let us know in the comments below, and please don't forget to subscribe to our channel, like the video, and you'll be the first to learn the most amazing, funny, and epic cases from the world of wildlife.